Welcome to Learn or Be Learned. We all have a story, we're all the hero of our own story, and whether your story is worth reading when it ends is up to you. I'm your host, Shiva Danashaker, and let's get into episode 4. So this book is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, I believe. I really hope I didn't butcher that first name. I'm sorry. This book is personally one of my favorites, and it deserves, rightfully so, a 2-part series. I couldn't condense it all, it's just too much, it's too good. I recommend if you read it yourself, but here is the gist of what's happening. So, humankind went from mundane and ordinary to that of the status of gods. So think about it. We went to the moon, we created flight, we travel at incredible speeds like a bullet train. We have globalized and revolutionized technology and knowledge with the internet and sharing at incredible speeds. We've created an imaginary system of money that lets you trade this make-believe, monopoly-ass paper cotton blend for real things like a house or food, right? So that's interesting. And Harari shared how the human species evolved from the very first humans to the modern day ones. If you're interested in how religion and the economy have changed the world, how science has continuously spun the wheel of capitalism, or how humans have reached extreme measures with the 3 historical revolutions, all of these and more will be discussed in this exciting episode. Before we start, I just wanted to clarify that the part 2 won't be out for a couple of weeks. I know, it sucks, but it's because we have a couple of guest episodes and a new series starting called Book Club, and these are all slight variations of what I do here, and I'm starting Book Club with my dear and longtime friend Jonah Gwynn, and there will be a Christmas special, more like a holiday, Christmassy special, for those of you that are into that kind of holiday mood and spirit, so stay tuned for those. Anyways, let's get right back into it, right? So Harari mentions there's 3 revolutions that shaped humankind that are responsible for the modern day Homo sapiens, which, by the way, originated from Latin and it means the wise man. Yeah, I know, very humble. Now, I don't like historical dates and whatnot, but these are pretty important. We have the cognitive revolution that began only 70,000 years ago. Then we have the agricultural revolution that began only 12,000 years ago. And the craziest one, the scientific revolution, which only began 500 years ago. That might sound like a lot, but that's really not a lot if you think about, because sometimes we get so caught up in our worlds, we don't realize that, the modern day human is a fairly new phenomenon. And honestly, I think we're going through this new technology revolution. And we are living it as we speak, like the agriculture one is huge, cognitive is huge, scientific was huge. Now we're going through a technological revolution and we're living it. So who knows what kind of repercussions and benefits this is going to have. So anyways, as Harari moves on, he says prehistoric human beings were of the ordinary as any other mammal, and evidence suggests that this may be the case, that humans have long lived before, the first special human was documented or discovered from remains. The origin of man can be traced back to East Africa about 2.5 million years ago, and here's where it stems the debate of whether humans originated and then migrated out of Africa, or whether humans simultaneously lived across the globe and were able to maximize their survival no matter the terrain. It was believed that the humans were considered unique due to our larger brain size to body size ratio. The brain size is what allowed us for innovations, and these innovations is what allowed us for the 3 revolutions as we discussed. So how did these humans rapidly grow? Well, it was thanks to the idea of conquest, religion, and politics, believe it or not. There are 2 theories that talk about the revolution of Homo sapiens. We have the interbreeding theory, when Homo sapiens interbred with other humans like the Neanderthals. We have the replacement theory. While this theory talks about how we conquered and killed all the Neanderthals to extinction, we also replaced them without breeding with them. However, there is evidence to suggest that the modern-day human might have anywhere from 1 to 2% of Neanderthal or Homo erectus DNA, potentially. I know. Homo erectus sounds like a Harry Potter spell for, Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. I'm just going to stop while I'm ahead. Okay. I know, I get it. All shits and giggles aside, Homo sapiens had better communication skills, not necessarily language, but were able to evolve and revolutionize faster and conquer better than their other Homo counterparts. Once the cognitive revolution occurred, the sapiens could communicate at a much higher level. It was believed that the theory of mind occurred around this time as well. So for those of you who don't know what theory of mind is, it's basically the ability to understand others and empathize. Basically, it's like thinking in other people's shoes. So yes, this was very helpful. Interesting fact, actually, that wasn't in the book. I believe people with autism have, more often than not, have a difficulty of a theory of mind, which, by the way, is also important for religion, but maybe I'll discuss that when in a further book called A Religion Explained. It's a book about neuroscience behind the religion. Anyways, getting back to what we're talking about, much of the psychological evolution of man is particularly due to the agricultural revolution, not the cognitive. By the way, what Harari refers to as the biggest mistake in human history. The agricultural revolution is responsible for the gorging gene, which explains why humans want to eat such high caloric food so frequently, right? So Harari believes that because sapiens rarely came across sweet foods, they could consume as much as possible and not save it for later. He believes that the current human DNA still believes we are in the desert and we're still living nomadically. The lack of in-depth knowledge of our old ways of foragers is particularly responsible for how present-day humans view religion, culture, and society. So, writing history is essentially inadequate and inaccurate because it has been passed down generation to generation, and information and authenticity is generally usually lost over time. And it's kind of like the telephone game where you whisper a sentence into someone's ear, and by the time it reaches the last person, maybe like the 10th person, the sentence is completely different. That is a real phenomenon that exists at a macro scale, and imagine it existing over hundreds of thousands of years. So yeah, information gets, fucked. Although the sapiens were better skillfully, our modern day humans know much more than they did. Harari believes that they had culture, but not to the extent that we do. As sapiens grew territorially over time and discovered new places and new foods, information was shared and was partially contributed to the agricultural revolution. So revolution created exponential work and little time for rest for the beginning stages of Homo sapiens in the agricultural revolution. And this was growing quite quickly. Here, the worries and the fear of nature increased because humans were trying to manipulate nature. So humans began to put their beliefs in what their lives had to deal with, and thus religious beliefs became more and more prominent. Humans began attaching spiritual meaning to the ideas of the unknown around them, and being smart and curious creatures, we needed explanations of one of the metaphysical contributions that seemed to, cure our worries and curiosities somewhat. I just want you guys to know that this knowledge so far can be applied into your lives too. And you might be asking, how, Shiv? Well, I'm glad you asked. It is incredible to be human. With it comes the responsibility to the earth, to each other, and to our societies. Gary Vee always talks about this statistic that you're more likely to win the lottery 10 times than you are to be human, just to emphasize how hard it is to actually be human. And he also always mentions that you're more likely to be a damn tree, which I always think is funny. By the way, there is a book that talks about how trees communicate with each other, and I might read that soon because it sounds very interesting. But moving on, you have an incredible life, so do some shit. Learn some shit. Likewise, I wanted to mention that the gorge gene, right, that tells us something to consider. Our DNA is not equipped for modern difficulties, so we have to be aware of this. Technology is far too new. Like the agricultural revolution that gave humans setbacks, we have no idea what the technological revolution that we are currently in is going to do to humankind. Maybe we're all going to be fat like that Wall-E movie on hover chairs and just, not doing shit. I sure hope this is not the case, but like I'm saying, be aware of how our ancient DNA plays into our modern society. We're not equipped to have such a sedentary lifestyle and not move around, so you need to work out. Don't scarf that junk food. That shit's terrible for you. Of course, cheat meals are okay, but it shouldn't be a lifestyle. We need to eat cleaner. We need to work out. We need to be in touch with what it actually is to be human. So don't hate your life. Don't be upset about the pandemic. Don't be upset about your job, coworker, a spouse, a lost opportunity. I guarantee you we all had struggles this year, next year, every year. But what the hell is life without suffering? Suffering is what gives life meaning. It's what gives happiness and success its meaning. These adversities is what you are meant to overcome. And there's two people out there. There are people that, roll up their sleeves and say, okay, I'm about to get this shit done. And then there's people that say, I can't do it. Everyone's right. Screw that. You can do it. Like I said, and like Gary says, the world you live in is unique. And it's as unique as being human itself. Okay, I'm done preaching. I just had to say this was a very, very sincere topic and a very good book. And this is only half of it, but like I said, the technological revolution is going to be crazy. But like Harari mentions about the agricultural revolution being a huge burden on humanity, I wonder how we will combat this technological revolution as a whole. Wait. So why did Harari believe that the agricultural revolution was a big mistake in humanity again? Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't tell you about that. Okay. Yeah, so anyways, Harari believed that the agricultural revolution was the biggest mistake in humanity because... Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm glad you made it to the end. Tune into part 2 where we will discuss what the agricultural revolution meant. We're going to talk about money, capitalism, and society as a whole, and how the scientific revolution progressed humanity and some crazy shit. So I'm glad you enjoyed this. There will be about 4 episodes between that, and I hope you stay tuned and watch those. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this teaser to an even more interesting second half of the book.
Wow. Asshole.
Peace.